Hi, my name is Janmijay, and this is day 22nd of my communication practice. And for this communication practice, I'm using this book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. So, so I took a gap in between day 21 and this recording because I had a hectic day. Today is the 8 days ending, and I was working till like last. I just got free after like I think 10 in the evening, and I'm recording this at 11:30 or something. So basically, I didn't want to break my continuity. I wanted to maintain my continuity of practicing, and just wanted to improve on so that I can see the day-to-day progress. I know that in the last video also I was not fully, you know, into recording this, and today also I'm just trying to like complete this. So this is not good, but I think these sort of videos and communication should be impromptu. It should not be something which requires a lot of effort, and it should be as effortless as possible. But still I have to, force this for like I think a few hundred videos, then only I'll be a pro in recording and all. So yeah, you have to get up and you have to do all the things that are necessary to make you a better communicator, and I think this will help me in communication. So I initially planned to complete this entire book in 30 days, but I think it will take a bit more than that. So I'm open to recording this complete book, right, while I'm reading, and then I'm talking about the things I have read. And in the past video, probably I have talked about the final words of the author, where he's coming to the meaning for life. And we see that people who got retired from their government or PSU life, or even their private, sector jobs, they age faster than the people who are still working. And if you see that people who retire after 60, 62, 65, once they have stopped going to work, and they don't have anything to look forward to, then the time seems to be endless, and the people age faster in those periods. And here we see in the incarceration, the author and their fellow prisoners, basically they didn't had any hope for life. They don't know what to expect out of it, and they had nothing to do, nothing to look forward to. So every day of the camp felt like this a week, and so people were aging faster. I see people are also age faster when they have no hope. And today in the cab, I met a person who lost like lakhs of rupees in option trading and crypto. In crypto, he probably lost around 17K in a matter of 5 minutes, and he lost he had took loan of 4.5 lakhs from outsider at a interest rate of like 60%, and I'm like 5% a month. On that, he has taken loan from multiple people, and like external loan is around 4.5 lakhs. And he talked about that he's of 27 or 28. His age is 27 or 28, and he has all his hair white, and that happened only because of the stress. And now he don't know what to do. So these sort of situation where you don't have any hope and you don't know how to come out of that situation, that also, age you faster. And same goes for the people who just got retired. So we see this sort of thing in day-to-day life, that what gives you a meaning. Probably it's a purpose. For some it could be like there should be something to look forward to, your family. So we have seen that sort of thing in our day-to-day life, but we don't know, we don't often notice, we don't write it down, these things, and we often overlook, right? While the author has covered everything, because he was there in the camp doing nothing, he was there to observe, because he had that sort of analytical mind. He was a psychiatrist by training, so he could look all these clues. He could see the stressors and what they, impact, and how they impact. And he also talked about, it's not about the stressors they get in the camp, but the reaction to that stressor and how they react, that give the entire perspective to what is happening, right? So I'll just start. I don't know where I left, so I'll start from somewhere, I don't know. The way in which a man accepts his fate and all the suffering it entails, the way in which he takes up his cross, gives him ample opportunity, even under the difficult circumstances, to add a deeper meaning to his life. It may remain brave, dignified, and unselfish, or in the bitter fight for self preservation, he may forget his human dignity and become no more than an animal. Here lies the chance for a man either to make use of or to forego the opportunities of attaining the moral value that a difficult situation may afford him. And this decides whether he is worthy of his sufferings or not. Do not think that these considerations are unworldly and too far removed from real life. It is true that only a few people are capable of reaching such moral standards. Of the prisoners, only a few kept their inner liberty and obtained those values which their suffering afforded. But even one such example is sufficient proof that man's inner strength may rise him above outward fate. So I think we have already read this, right? And we have also talked about a person who was talking to a tree. So this sort of situation has came to author's mind while he was doing his duty as a doctor in the typhus block. I remember a personal experience, almost in tears from pain. I had terrible sores on my feet from wearing torn shoes. I limped a few kilometers with our long column of men from camp to our work site. Very cold, bitter winds struck us. I kept thinking of the endless little problems of our miserable life. What would be there to eat tonight? If a piece of sausage came as an extra ration, should I exchange it for a piece of bread? Should I trade my last cigarette, which was left from a bonus I received a fortnight ago, for a bowl of soup? How would I get a piece of wire to replace the fragment which served as one of my shoelaces? Would I get to work site in time to join my usual working party, or should I have to join another, which might have a brutal foeman? What could I do to get on good terms with the capo, who would help me to obtain work in camp instead of undertaking this horribly long daily march? I become disgusted with the state of affairs which compelled me, daily and hourly, to think of only such trivial things. I forced my thought to turn to another subject. Suddenly I saw myself standing on the platform of a well lit, warm and pleasant lecture room. In front of me sat an attentive audience on comfortable, unholstered seats. I was giving a lecture on the psychology of the concentration camp. All that oppressed me at that moment became objective, seen and described from the remote viewpoint of science. By this method, I succeeded somehow in rising above the situation, about the suffering of the moment, and I observed them as they were already of the past. Both I and my trials become the object of an interesting psychoscientific study undertaken by myself. What does Spinoza say in his Ethics? Affectus quae passio est desinit esse passio simulitec eis clamor et disticatam formas idem. Emotion, which is suffering, ceases to be suffering as soon as we form a clear and precise picture of it. Interesting. So in Himachal, people say there is a similar situation in Himachal Pradesh in India. People who are native to that place, it is very cold. So they say you are ashamed and you feel cold because you feel it. So if you stop feeling the shame, or if you stop feeling the cold, you won't feel it. In Hindi they say ठंड और शर्म महसूस करने से लगती है, right? एंड ये यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा उसका उलट बोल रहा है. बेसिकली ही इज सेइंग कि इमोशन विच इज सफरिंग ceases to be suffering as soon as we form a clear and precise picture of it. Interesting. The prisoners who had lost faith in future, and his future was doomed. With his loss of belief in the future, he also lost his spiritual hold. He let himself decline and become subject to mental and physical decay. Usually, this happened quite suddenly in the form of a crisis, the symptoms of which were familiar to the experienced camp inmate. We all feared this moment, not for ourselves, which would have been pointless, but for our friends. Usually it began with the prisoner refusing one morning to get dressed and wash or to go out on the parade grounds. No entreaties, no blows, no threat had any effect. He just lay there, hardly moving. In this crisis was brought about by an illness. He refused to be taken to the sick bay or to anything to help himself. He simply gave up. There he remained lying in his own excreta, and nothing bothered him anymore. I once had a dramatic demonstration of the close link between the loss of faith in the future, and this dangerous giving up. Fuck. My senior block warden, a fairly well known composer and librettist, confided me one day. I would like to tell you something, doctor. I have had a strange dream. A strange voice told me that I could wish for something, that I should only say what I wanted to know, and all my questions would be answered. What do you think? I asked. That I would like to know when the war would be over for me. You know what I mean, doctor? For me, I wanted to know when our camp would be liberated and our sufferings come to an end. And when did you have this dream? I asked. In February 1945, he answered. It was then beginning of the march. What did your dream voice answer? Furtively, he whispered to me, March 13th. March 30th. When Fuck told me about his dream, it was not Fuck, it was his name, Frankenstein or whatever, told me about his dream, he was still full of hope and convinced that the voice of his dream would be right. But as the promised day drew nearer, the war news which reached our camp made it appear very unlikely that we would be free on the promised date. On March 29th, Frankenstein suddenly became ill and ran a very high temperature. On March 30th, the day his prophecy had told him that the war and suffering would be over for him, he became delirious, lost consciousness. On March 30th, he was dead. To all outward appearances, he had died of typhus. So, we are talking about death now. How death happens. I can say death happens when you lose hope. Death happens when you give up. You give up. Not on just one thing. You give up on all the things in life. So interesting. Actually, my father told me about these things in a different way, and I can correlate this now. And that is why I don't read wellness book or this sort of book, because I think these are repetitive in nature. And this book, but I can see why we should read it now, because then you have multiple stories connecting to a single dot and single sort of path appears to you. The pattern is quite visible, and this is very interesting read, right? That how the person died. This is emotional for me, and this is day 22nd of my communication practice, and we are about now at the end of the part 1, which is basically the experiences in the concentration camp, and probably the next part would be about the logotherapy. I'm right now at page 83rd, and I think the experiences in the camp will be over at 100 page. So I think I'm 17 page away, so probably like it is 3 or 4 days of read. and then we'll move to the logotherapy part. So yeah, this is day 22nd, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.